backstage, I just open that door and show them the shitter. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's like.
So are you saying that the rock star life is highly overrated in the minds of many?
It is.
Really?
I think it's a big, I think it's a preconceived notion, you know, but not necessarily in an overall bad way.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of times there's 3 bands here, so with the bands and all the crew, there's 25 people that are involved, and there's 1 toilet. And as you're traveling all the time, there's usually a line,
I can see
and it's got a powerful odor, and it's just, that particular instance is not as glamorous as people might think.
I see. So when you're a young man with aspirations to rock stardom, which I'm assuming you had.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a young man, yeah. Well, does the reality of the piece, now that you're a super mega famous rock band on the cover of magazines worldwide, does the reality of that piece meet your expectations as a young man?
It does meet our expectations, or at least mine personally.
Yeah.
My first album and first concert was the Business as Usual by Men at Work. And from that day, honestly, I was just, music engulfed me. I thought it was the coolest thing. It was such a connection and so beautiful. And that album to this day is framed in my house on my office wall. And I still listen to it all the time. And that was 30 years ago, you know. So as a small boy, it kind of, my life made a big turn right there. Music is powerful to a lot of people, and so overall, yes. You know, a lot of the clips that you might see on TV, especially growing up in the 80s, you know, with the glamour and the gluttony and the sloth and all the, you know, the excess. I could see how it's very glamorous.
Does not apply to Mastodon's way of rolling.
Yeah, well, you know, we're just a couple of dirtbag cavemen from Atlanta, Georgia. So we didn't really have too much expectations from the get-go. You know, things have slowly over 12 years gotten bigger and better and bigger and better every time we've toured and with each album. So it's not like we had this idea that we're gonna get together, we're gonna create music, and then we're gonna have like the glamorous backstages and fly first class. You know, that never even entered our mind. So it's been a very organic trip.
Well, Troy, I get the impression that Mastodon as a unit are quite unassuming men. Seems like I walked up the stairs before and there's all 7 meters of you. I'm like, whoa, Jesus Christ, there's a pleasant band that I love. And you're just Troy, you know? So with that in mind, and I think it's interesting that you guys have sort of inadvertently entangled yourself in sort of the grubbier, more media side of music. And I'm of course referring to Brent's unfortunate run in way back when he suffered that horrendous injury.
Yeah.
And I know Brand told me that was, like, he felt for his mate. He's like, that's terrible, I'm sorry this happened to him, but it changed the direction of your music completely, he told me.
Yeah, it was a life-changing event.
Yeah.
It was a near-death experience, so it was very horrible, and it was a very uncertain time. This is 2007, so that's been 5 years, but you know, there was a lot of question marks at that time, but thankfully we prevailed from that whole period and created the music for Crack the Sky, and we felt that was a triumphant way to round out that 2-year period of creating music and working together. And it's been the same ever since. The Hunter was dealt with a lot of negative, tragic moments as well, but thankfully our band is able to prevail over those circumstances and draw from all these tragic, dark experiences and channel it through the music and the art that we call Mastodon and create something that we feel is beautiful that will live forever. So it's kind of it's a way of life for us.
So how do you think, I mean, obviously this can only be hypothetical, theoretical, however you like it, if he had not been involved in that unfortunate altercation, what kind of sonic direction would Mastodon have taken? Do you think he would have stayed on quite that fairly abrasive track that you guys were on?
It might have been more of an abrasive track with more aggression, but obviously I don't know for sure. But I'm, you know, for better or for worse, and I'm an optimist, so my glass is, in my eyes, it's always half full. And you know, I think we take from everything good and bad, and we try to create whatever we can do artistically for the best, you know, for ourselves. And music, Mastodon, and art stems from a selfish place. You know, we do everything for ourselves to make the 4 of us happy. So looking back, it might be for the better, but it's hard to say the phrase for the better, stemming from a very tragic moment. So I don't know, but you know, life is very unexpected, and horrible things happen to people, and everyone's life will be touched by a tragic moment, you know. So
Well,
to pull something positive is the ultimate
Yeah.
triumph.
well, is it? I know like a significant amount of time has elapsed since all that badness
Yeah.
went down, but you're on tour with System of a Down, and obviously that means Shavo is here as well. Is that strange?
No, no.
No?
This is a giant, a piece of false information that has been.
Propagated everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Set me straight.
Mastodon and System of a Down, we're all friends. That was not the problem at all. That was a different issue, and our band is so far beyond removed that whole incident. But it had nothing to do with System of a Down was there, but they're our friends.
Yeah.
It was a different individual that this altercation went down with. So to set the record straight, to this day, all the System of a Down guys in Mastodon, we're all friends. We have no problems with each other whatsoever. It was because it just got blown up in the wrong way, through storytelling and through internet and through press of all sorts.
Whispers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to clear the record, System of a Down and Mastodon have no qualms with each other whatsoever, and we never have.
Wow.
So-
So that's what happens when you head straight to the internet and get away goss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I'm glad you told me that. The other thing, and this is completely unrelated to anything. This is just for me, and this will be interesting, I bet. But when I talked to Bran last year, and we obviously the subject of your producer choice came up because it's
Yeah.
quite unusual. You know, it's quite
Absolutely.
unorthodox, and it worked out for very great results. But I wondered, and sort of Bran sort of just laughed at me when I asked this question, didn't really answer it. I was like, why wouldn't you get someone like, I don't know, and he was like, well, who would we get? Who would we get? All the metal producers? And I asked him, well, why don't you get Steve Austin? And he just laughed. Dad, what's with this reaction? What?
Because that was a bandmate that he was with previous,
Yeah.
that he left because of personal horrible bullshit.
Right.
So if you're friends with someone and then some horrible personal stuff goes down and then now you become enemies, why would you want to work with that person in the future?
I didn't know that fact, but
Yeah.
you were part of Today's a Days?
I was not. That was drummer Braun and guitar player Bill.
Oh, okay, because you were often associated with those records.
No, I was a big fan of those records,
Right.
of that record that they were on. So, the one thing that we didn't want to do was to get like the most world famous heavy metal producer to come in and work with us, because we feel that our band is not a one-dimensional heavy metal band. We feel like we've got a lot of influences and a lot of styles and sounds that we want to ultimately shine. We need someone that can embrace all of the ideas that we're doing sonically. And when we stumbled upon, or we didn't stumble upon, when Mike Elizondo approached us back in February of 2011 to say, hey, I'm a fan of your band. I know you're about to do a new record at some point. These are the things that I could bring to the table. Da 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 da. And I just wanted to meet you face to face. And there you go. That's it. You know, for the most part. And we bonded on a personal level, which is first and foremost for our band. And then we understood each other on a musical level. And then within the next few days, we started sending him demos. And when we'd send him something that was very psychedelic and slow and proggy, he would come back with all these great comments. I love part 2 and da-da-da, and this is great, that can be looped around, da-da-da. 3 days later, we'd send him something that was super heavy. And he's like, oh man, that first riff could do that, da-da-da. He had all these ideas.
Yeah.
And then we'd send him this real, something that would become like The Hunter, which is a very slow, Pink Floyd-ish, sprawling, guitar-based part or song. And he was like, oh man, da-da-da, we could do this, that. So he embraced the heavy, the soft, the pretty, the proggy, the psychedelic. And I was like, that's our guy. We want someone that knows and understands everything that we're trying to do, sonically, and from a creative standpoint. So it made perfect sense. And a lot of people don't realize that Mike Elizondo is, besides him being famous for doing Eminem and hip hop, and he was Dr. Dre's bass player for 9 years. And that's where he gets his big press from. So people think that he's strictly involved in hip hop. He's also produced classical records, folk records, country albums, jazz albums. He is all over the board. He's such a talented, dynamically, beautifully talented ear of a man. And once we befriended one another on a personal level, first and foremost, and then he understood all of our riffs that were coming out of Mastodon, it was a no-brainer. Like, that's the guy we want. Well-rounded is what we were looking for, and he was the perfect fit. I think it's cool to have misinformation, especially now in this day and age. Besides, that's fine. But if I'm here to just to bring forth the truth. And a lot of people are like, why would you pick the guy that works with Dr. Dre only? It's like, no, he did a lot of stuff with Dr. Dre, but here's all the other stuff he's done. And our band feels that we have riffs that are inspired by jazz, classic rock, punk, heavy metal, and on and on and on. And we want someone that can understand all of that with us and from us and for us.
I know it's quite soon, and you guys, obviously you're going to take your time and put things together in the right way, work with the right people, but are you thinking about the follow-up to The Hunter yet?
Well, only in the sense that we're all collecting little riffs here and there along the way, but the record just came out 6 months ago, 5 months ago.
I know I'm rushing you.
No, it's a normal question. And we have the next 6 months of the year already planned for tours, so it's kind of hard to think about when and where that will happen. We like to let things unfold naturally, and once we have enough time off or enough inspiration and energy to convene in our rehearsal space and feel good about it and move forward, that if it's later at the end of 2012, that'd be great. If it's next year, great. But it really needs to blossom naturally and not rush. Like, hey guys, we need to start writing some songs. Like, no, we've never worked that way, and nor do we want to ever work that way. We need to be like, hey, let's meet me at the space tomorrow. I got something to show you. It needs to be like that. So, what direction and when this will all happen, completely unknown.
That's the way you like it, though.
Absolutely. We like to surprise ourselves. We had going into The Hunter, we had no idea what songs were going to ultimately sound like. It was going to be sprawling and epic and proggy. It was going to be short and sweet. No idea. We just let it come from here, through this, into this, and see what happens. And if we all dig the way it's sounding, then we move forward.
You're such a magical kind of man. Can I just tell you?
I've got magical underwear on right now.
I was gonna ask, can we see, but that is crossing the line between.
This is being filmed, so it's not a one-on-one thing here.
Later.
I'm sure there's 4 or 5 people that are going to see this.
Well, give us a bit more credit. Mum logs on the website sometimes. That's 5, 4, 6. Can I ask you about one particular song that baffles me?
Octopus?
No, not Octopus.
All
The
right.
Creature Lives.
Yeah.
That sounds like some kind of classic pastiche of excellent sci-fi movies, but I just cannot pick how you put that together and what you, if anything, that you're drawing on.
Well, long story short, Braun, our drummer, had this little keyboard at his house, and he came up with this little melody, which became the bass line for the song, and he let me hear it. He's like, I don't know what this is. He just gave it to me. And I was like, you know what? I love that. So I learned it on bass. We kind of looped it around a few times, and it was very un-Mastodon sounding. But we didn't care because this is just Braun and I at practice. The 2 guitar players didn't show up. So I was like, all right, let's work on that thing, that little thing, which turned out to be a blessing. So we just worked on this thing. It's like, man, what is that? It's not Mastodon. I was like, you know what? Yes, it is, because it's me and you right here. I love it. Let's go forward with this. So we just kind of plowed in head first, and came up with a few parts. And the next day, Bill came down and recorded it Bill's the only guy in our band that knows how to run our studio. All the Pro Tools and the recording board. He's the guy.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
So we recorded it, and then it was like short, sweet, simple. I was like, I like it. I can hear some Flaming Lips, like anthematic vocals going on, like a sing-along, like a triumphant, epic yes. And then like 2 days later, Braun he's like, I got an idea for a vocal passage. I was like, let's hear it. Let's go for it. So we just shared some ideas. And then a few days later, Brent came down to practice. We're like, hey man, we got this song. It's about a swamp thing baby. That his mother is the swamp thing, and the father is the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's like, I fucking love it, and he hadn't even heard the song yet. And then we played in the riff, and he's just like, oh my god. He closed his eyes. He's like, I love it. So all 4 of us were on board, and that's all that it takes for a Mastodon song to go into the studio to record. Is that if the 4 of us like it, then that's all that matters. And then that was probably the biggest surprise on the album, and that's my favorite song that we do.
That's why I asked. It's the one that out of everything that sticks out of me as being excellent, but also even more unusual by your standards on that album. Yeah. We have to let you go, but I don't want to. We have to. But can you smell the magazine for a second? I really like how you.
The fresh one or the old one?
Well, freshen up, baby.
I'm gonna go to the Lamb of God page.
Why would you do that?
Because check this out, right?
hang on a sec, let me take it.
Oh shit.
Gotta do that.
All right. Well, this. Oh, so I'm gonna go to the Lamb of God page
Lamb of God.
because I like the way they smell.
Feels good.
Fresh. It's glossy. Straight from the trees. Good stuff.